While we studied our Bibles, believing that it contains the true words of God that will protect us, our enemies studied instead how to manipulate our collective minds to serve their interests. They then used that gained knowledge to mentally enslave millions of Black people. Our beliefs shapes our behaviors. Therefore, those who controls our beliefs shapes our behaviors. Because the white society controls what we believe, they keep our beliefs in ways that keeps us behaving in ways that serves the white society. Since we now put more emphasis on studying our Bibles, we therefore have little understanding of how our collective minds are presently being manipulated by white oppressive forces. Our study of religions have left many of us intellectually behind in our mental growth. Therefore, we are easy victims for those who have studied how the mind works and how to manipulate our collective minds. This is why those of us who knows must teach African proverb. Here's the true hidden reason why Black people are presently learning more racially affirming facts from each other than we do so within our white governed schools. The white educational system's failure to adequately provide Black students with a racially affirming curriculum, as it routinely does so for white students, is actually essential for maintaining white social dominance over Black people. This is being done because for a ruling class to maintain its position of social dominance over its oppressed population, they must condition the oppressed from a very early age to accept our subordinate status and to adhere to the authority of the dominant society. To do so, the education given to the oppressed from the times that our minds are young and most impressionable must be the type that denies the oppressed of racially affirming information about ourselves. Doing so conditions the oppressed to perceive themselves through a false inherent subordinate identity that makes the oppressed more accepting of their subordinate status within a society dominated by their oppressors. It psychologically assigns the oppressed to a subordinate status within society. When the oppressed population is denied of a racially affirming education, even the brightest among them have little of any hope of mentally extracting themselves from their assigned low dominated position within a society. This is the hidden reason why for many Black people, our schools are in fact the places where we first experience the implication that there's something inherently lesser or wrong about being Black. Schools are tools of the government designed to mold students' character accordingly to the will of the government. Although white governments profess equality for all their citizens, in reality, they are unrelentingly committed towards the preservation of their nation's white social dominance over its Black population. This unrelenting commitment necessitates that Black students be socially engineered during our educational development to accept our subordinate status within the white dominant society. Now, here's the true reason why many Black people are now self-hating, perceives ourselves as being our own worst enemies, and thinks favorably about Caucasians. It's never been a slave syndrome. That's a myth. Never been. These thoughts that clearly benefits the white society were actually deliberately indoctrinated into the minds of millions of Black people without most of us realizing it, through media manipulation. The white media's unrelenting negative depiction of Black people that amplifies the negative to the point that it distorts our reality is much more than just biased media reporting. It is actually an insidious Black racially demoralizing divide and rule psychological warfare campaign. Demoralized divide and rule is the method of maintaining control over a targeted population through constant and unrelenting demoralization in order to create self-hate and division between the targeted population. It is a well-proven tactic. Our belief shapes our behaviors, therefore those who controls our belief shapes our behaviors. White oppressive forces determined a long time ago that by negatively controlling what Black people believes about ourselves, They could demoralize us, divide us, and shift our collective aggressions away from the white society and redirect it towards ourselves. Keeping Black people within this condition makes us much more easier to control and prevents us from unifying against the white society. This psychological warfare system is deployed like a massive media marketing campaign that constantly subjects Black people to receiving only the fraudulent worst narratives about ourselves. Within this system, fraudulent Black racially demoralizing propaganda is being pumped unrelentingly into the unsuspecting minds of the Black population, without being challenged nor counterbalanced by an equal amount of Black positive racially affirming information. It conveys a subliminal message that Black people are now our worst enemies, and therefore we need whites to govern over our lives. Moreover, that Black people should admire, respect, and trust only whites. This system is extremely effective because when Black people are repetitively presented these noted narratives from trusted white media sources, it can be very difficult to resist its implied propaganda programming, especially when the propaganda is being told daily and so unrelentingly. With time, many Black people eventually comes to accept the subliminal programmed narratives and then begins functioning based upon them as being true, thus negatively impacting the Black population. Its weapon is the message that's being repeatedly propagated, and the way that adversely affects the Black population in terms of our behavior. The ultimate goal is to demoralize Black people to such an extent that we begin to doubt our own ability to govern ourselves. And we then believe that we therefore need white people to govern over our lives. Moreover, it makes us believe that we're better off living under white dominance, and therefore we abandon all hopes of ever liberating ourselves. It also creates Black self-hatred and disunity, which attacks the core foundation of what bonds us as a people, and we can then be ruled over forever. Through this psychological warfare propaganda campaign, white oppressive forces have created a psychological prison for the minds of millions of Black people. This is all possible because people are like computers. All you have to do is keep giving them certain information every so often, and you can persuade an entire generation of people towards an applied objective. It doesn't matter if the information presented is untrue. Most Black people will act accordingly based upon it because they've all been given the same disinformation about ourselves. This system utilizes the immense power that shame has upon the human mind to mentally enslave millions of Black people. Those Black people who do not critically think never notices their mental change. This psychological warfare system provides the white oppressors with a more proficient method used for controlling Black people. For unlike the past blatant racist system that Black people were easily able to identify and therefore develop counter strategies against, this modern system is not easily recognized, nor is it easily comprehended by its Black victims. This psychological warfare program works so well, in fact, that it not only makes Black people more compliant with white dominance over our lives, in many cases, it in fact causes many Black people to prefer white dominance over our lives. It is at the root of the profound division and self-hatred now afflicting the Black population. The problem has never been a slave syndrome. That's not how you control people. It's time to wake up to our reality. To our detriment, the sad part is the oppressed will always believe the fraudulent worst about themselves. Franz Fanon. White oppressive forces have created a prison for our mind. I'm trying to help you to free your mind, but I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it. One love and peace.